Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt
And
Roast.
I'm Jessica Bun Bun.
Welcome to our new The Handmaid's Tale theory discussion. And as many of you unfortunately are aware at this point, there are only a couple more episodes left of this show. I know The Testaments is coming at some point down the road, but here we are diving headfirst into Serena Joy and the big question now of how does her story end? Because we have been left off in this interesting place where she has left Wharton. Is it actually going to stick? What is she going to do next? Like, there is a lot of stuff to be thought about there when it comes to arguably the show's central antagonist.
Yeah, for sure. And we do know, obviously, that there's source material out there. So if you know what her fate actually is in the books, please don't share it here because we do not know what her fate is. And there are other TV watchers that haven't read the books that also don't know. So, it's a cool surprise for all of us to see what the show is going to do. And sometimes, the show decides to do something else, anyways. Just because it's in the books doesn't mean that it will happen here. But there's a couple different ways that her story could end or not end, and maybe she's going to continue on in the Testament.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of flexibility when it comes to Serena, mostly just because if there is a character who is swung around across the pendulum when it comes to things happening to her, just like think about it for a moment. It's her. Like, we have seen her be the worst human being imaginable when it comes to her treatment of June, but we have also seen her with the Wheelers, where she has had to face the possibility of being a handmaid. And then we have seen her with Wharton on this past episode. Like, there are enough experiences with Serena that on paper, you can make the argument that it's like, okay, she could change. She could do something different. As to whether or not she will, that's a very different story.
Very different.
Okay, well, we are going to get so much more into all of this. Before we do, though, be sure to hit that subscribe button because, yes, we have a lot more coming of The Handmaid's Tale through the rest of the series, previews, reviews, theories. Beyond all of that, you already have Hulu. So we are doing Nine Perfect Strangers here at the channel. It is a Nicole Kidman show. It's been off the air for a while, but it's finally coming back with season 2. We are so excited to do that. And also, we are in the midst of Poker Face right now, which is very, very fun, very escapist, a ton of awesome guest stars. And thank you so much to everyone who has subscribed. I mean, that means the world to us, especially leading into Dexter Resurrection this summer, which we are very much looking forward to.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. And over on our Patreon, we are covering their Murderbot as well as Criminal Minds Evolution, and it is the only place that you can get those video reviews. And it really does also help support us here at the channel. So thank you so much to everyone who has joined.
Thank you guys. We very, very much appreciate that.
Okay, so here's the thing with Serena, for me, it
Yeah.
feels like her motivation has always really been about herself and
Yes.
how she feels and where she's at. And to be fair, that is the motivation for a lot of people in general. People want the best for themselves. But for her, because everything is so deeply tied into Gilead, her role in creating it, what her vision was. She felt like she was in a position of power because she was somebody who helped, create this whole situation. And, yeah, it didn't go the way she wanted, but it's her baby in a lot of ways. And she really wants to find a way to turn it into what she thought it was going to be, which is more of the New Bethlehem version of it. And because of that, she's fighting inside herself all this time between, power, her own vision of it, and her own faith of it. So seeing that she went through what she went through with the Wheelers and actually ended up back there again and then getting married to a high commander, doing this again and actually sort of still having the blinders on, it's not surprising because she had such a hand in creating this and she feels like it's part of her and it's part of her faith. All of it is so intertwined. I mean, it was very obvious in that scene on the train where she's got her versus the mob and she's still like, you're wrong, I'm right. Like, it is so inside her that when we get to this final scene where she's being carried over the threshold. She thinks her whole life is going to be different. And then he steps back and there's a handmaid on her knees that she's just like, her whole world crumbles. But has it really shaken her to her core? Because so much has happened to her that should have shaken her to her core, but she still ended up back here married to another commander.
Serena is unbelievably compelling as a character. And I mean,
Yes.
I hate her, but at the same time, I really enjoy watching this journey play out just because, I mean, obviously Yvonne's great in the role, but I think just beyond all of that, there are not a lot of characters I can remember. It's one thing to do my little welcome to Matt Roast delusional ice cream parlor bit that I have done for years, but Serena has taken this to a next level. She has actually built the ice cream factory of delusion because she might be the most delusional character I've ever seen, where to the extent that her whole idea of helping the handmaids, of making this better, like to me, she really only wants to do this because it makes her look like it's her the hero of this story, that she's the one who's changing things, that it's her idea. If she was going along with somebody else's idea to help the handmaids, I'm not sure she'd be for it. She might just be like, okay, whatever, you do you. I'm going to continue to do my idea, and then I'm going to prove to you that my idea is better than anything that you have going on. Like, I think her whole motive for going back to Gilead is kind of what you were saying, this idea of, okay, I am here to finish what I started. I am here to actually make my vision really come to light. And I think she just got so obsessed with that she forgot the idea of, oh, maybe Commander Wharton is lying to me, or oh, maybe he's not being forthcoming. And this is where, okay, you can put on a tinfoil hat here.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a chance that even after all of this, Serena leaves Wharton's company, like, she might still go back if there is a way for her to actually still achieve her goals with that. If she can find some sort of compromise, she might do the thing that all of us are screaming at the television for her not to do, because she might still believe she can get away with this.
She is in a toxic relationship with herself.
Yes.
And that's the problem of why she keeps going back to Gilead, to this over and over and over and over again, because she is the person that helped create this. And so it's just like she believes in it, then she sees the bad parts and tries to get out. And then but she gets reeled back in. And then, it's that toxic relationship that she is just having with herself and having with Gilead, which is something that she was part of. So could Wharton try to turn it around? Sure. Could she go back? Sure. I mean, that's the thing with it. That is one of the endings. She could go back and hope that Wharton is going to be like, you know what? Okay, that's fine. We will not do this thing with the handmaid, and we will go forward with this other stuff that you wanted to do. She might believe that.
And that's the ultimate irony, I think, of Serena, is that she's a character who believes that she is really, really strong, when in reality, society views her as very, very weak, that she is just a tool that they can play around with in order to achieve their end goals. And she never sees it that way. She never lets go of her own self-perception. And I think a lot of ways in life, this can be a very, very good thing, to always believe in yourself. But when your own ideas are bad, or when your own ideas are this diluted, it's just, you're really just hurting yourself, and you're not ever going to find a better ending. And the whole purpose of Serena has always been to make us mad, whether it's making us mad about what's happening to June, or just making us mad now, where we sit at the TV and we're like, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you still doing this? Like, why don't you understand?
Well, the other issue that she seems to be really kind of rolling around with is, where does she actually stand on handmaids in general? Because there was that whole discussion with Lydia, where Lydia was like, what did you think happened to the handmaids? And she was like, I didn't think about them at all. And I think that that is the real of where she was with the handmaids. Then she's giving this like delusional speech at her wedding with them, where she's like, oh, we're going to take down your veils so we can all take a photo together. And it's like, oh, but then you're going to put them back up. So like, what are you really thinking of them? And then I think for her, because she's kind of like, well, as long as I don't see quiet, almost like the other wives where they're like, give me my baby and get to stepping kind of thing, that she's like, oh, well, we can just put them in the fertility centers and then they have another job and then I've done my best kind of thing. But it's still not enough. Like she gets home and here's a handmaid. She's basically like, well, I'm fertile, so we don't need one. Other people might need one, and that's fine. Out of sight, out of mind, but I don't need one. It feels like she thinks because she's fertile that she can be a-okay
Yeah.
to not have them, but everybody else still needs to use them. The moment that she was like, what's your name? And she was like, Christine, I was like, okay, is this the moment that she's kind of caring a little bit? But all of these other steps just haven't been enough.
Yeah, we have no reason to believe in Serena at this point, just because anytime that we have started to feel that way, and there have been times this show where I'm like, okay, maybe she is turning a corner, like maybe she actually is getting better. Then she does something that makes me feel embarrassed that I ever felt like she could be better. And it's just this like, it's a toxic cycle in my own head too, of just this
Yep.
constant idea of could she change? Oh no, she's not changing. Could she be redeemed? No, I don't think she is redeemable. And it's just like at this point, 2 episodes left in the show. Like, why would it change?
Yeah, and she's doing again the thing that is best for her, which is leaving the house with Noah. So if that's the case, what happens to her now? Is this going to be a situation where Wharton is really just going to let her go, or let her go just far enough and then just have her killed off somewhere else and take the baby, since the baby is the thing that is the valuable commodity?
Okay, well, since you brought up the idea of Serena being killed here, I'll put on
Yeah.
another tinfoil hat here
Okay.
because this, if you want to believe big in foreshadowing, here's something that we could get a little bit into. This idea of Serena ends up leaving and ends up trying to find June and or all the handmaids at this point
Yeah.
because she's been reminded yet again that, the commanders don't really care about the handmaids and so on and so forth. So maybe she goes to them, and because she is this delusional, she might go to them and be like, I understand more, guys. I can help you. I can be your conduit. I can be your leader. And I know that sounds stupid, but Serena's crazy enough that I think she could say something like that, where she could sort of represent the handmaids and be the people who really helped to usher them in and change things. But the problem here is that we saw this on the train. A lot of these people know who Serena is. A lot of them hate Serena.
They were
Maybe,
all at her wedding.
yeah, like they may all just decide, okay, we're gonna finish what the people at the train started. And at this point, is June gonna either be able to stop them, or is it a situation where does she really want to stop them at this point? And that may very well be how Serena ends up getting killed, if she gets killed, just because she never really wants to face the consequences of her own actions. She just thinks that I can reverse Uno card the situation and then it's all just going to be better. And now they'll appreciate me even though they didn't before.
Yeah, I mean, it was really satisfying to watch Fred get killed in that manner that you just explained, but it would be more satisfying
Yes.
for me to see the handmaids take back their power from Serena, who is the woman that took away their power. And it's, for me as a woman, a little bit different watching a man take away power from a woman, which is a little more typical, than
Yeah.
watching a woman take away power from another woman, which hurts me to my core in a different way.
Yeah, and I think the writers of The Handmaid's Tale have done a great job of sort of orchestrating that feeling throughout the entire show. And I think they know at this point what the sentiment is towards Serena among the fan base, and that you can't have her have a, half-hearted or forgettable death if she does end up
Right.
dying by the end of this. Like, you have to go really big. You have to go pretty epic. And I don't think, one way or another, I don't think Serena's going to die until the series finale, just because she has to be sort of one of the last characters on the board, regardless of if you view her as the final boss or not. She's somebody who has always sort of been the other side, if we want to view, June as a Batman and Serena as a Joker, to use just a really crude metaphor here. It's just like they're always going to be in each other's lives in some sort of way. So I think you kind of have to let this build to whatever it's going to end up being.
I just feel, for me, the most satisfying way that her story ends is in death. I'm clapping for death, for Serena's death. I know not everybody wants that, but that is what I want. And it just feels like the things that she has done
Yeah.
to me are unforgivable. Like, I've gone over the things that she's done in the past. I know it's been years and years and years since we've seen her do these things to June, throw her into the wall while she's pregnant, have the ceremony when it's not supposed to be happening at all, but having the ceremony at all. I mean, participating in that, you're a woman doing this to another woman. Like, it's so unforgivable that for me, the only satisfying way of coming out of this is if Serena is dead. There is no redemption. She could go get Hannah and
Yeah.
bring her to June, but that is only one person that she has hurt by creating this society and doing this to all the women,
Yeah.
that it's not enough.
Yeah, Serena might very well go and get Hannah or go and try to help these other handmaids or do something like that. But I will never buy what her motivation is for it, because I think it will just be, oh, look at me. I'm trying to change my legacy. And I don't think her legacy
Right.
can be changed. I mean, we can compare her to some of the other ambiguous characters within the world of The Handmaid's Tale, where it's like, okay, we could talk about Lawrence, who was really out for his own survival, seemingly above
Yes.
everything else. But I still feel like redeemable's not the right word, but I feel like Lawrence can change his legacy maybe in a way that Serena cannot, because I think Lawrence has at least somewhat the ability to think a little bit outside himself. Like Nick, I don't know if Nick can change his legacy at this point, because he's still been making really bad decisions really, really recently.
Now, could Serena survive this? And if she does, is she then going to be able to have a satisfying ending for everybody? Because, I mean, for a lot of us, the idea that she was just going to get to marry this handsome man and have this wonderful life and change things around and have all this power, that was not satisfying. Like,
No.
it was horrible to watch her come home and there's a handmaid, but at the same time, it's like, you got what you deserve. Like, you did this again. You married another commander. You were high on your own sauce, and now you're in it again. So you're getting what you deserve in that way. But it's like, that's clearly not what the ending is going to be. Or does
Yeah.
anybody out there feel like she's going to go back to Wharton and just kind of be like, well, I'm in it. I can't get divorced. I can't leave. There's none of those are options here. So what do I do?
She might, I think she might go back to Wharton. And if she does go back to Wharton, then it's setting up a situation where either she ends up being killed, whether it be by Wharton's men, some of the handmaids, like no matter what it is, where she thinks she's insulating herself and she's really not. But there's this other idea in my head that's like, okay, maybe Serena does end up surviving this show, but then ends up becoming some sort of prisoner, if you will, within whatever Gilead turns into after the fact. Like, for me, I don't want to see her become a handmaid or any of that. Like, they already played enough with that within the
Yeah, they
Wheeler
did.
arc, and it's just like, okay, I don't need to see the show repeat itself. But if she is just sort of stuck in some sort of situation where she actually has to atone for the crimes that she has committed, in particular against June, like, that's something where she would not be getting any publicity. She would be, presumably locked away from everyone. And it's like, if there's ever a time where Serena would have to face the consequences of what she did and actually see if she could change, like, that would be it. Like, would I have any confidence in that? No, but that could be a way that you keep the character alive in the event that you want to revisit her in the Testaments, even if it's for an episode or two. I don't think she needs to be a full part of that show, just because I think The Handmaid's Tale is June's story, and to some extent it's Serena's story, but you could kind of pick it up and look at it again down the road in that instance.
I just feel that that moment with Christine where she was like, what is your name? You need to get out of here. That she could, if she doesn't die, end up going and finding the handmaids and trying to find a way to get them all out, because she owes them all.
She does owe them all. And then
And that would be satisfying as well. And then she could die after that.
yeah, so like I think that's the thing. It's hard not to clap for death when it comes to Serena. I mean, she's one of the most just infuriating characters we've seen on television in a really long time. The writers know this, and I think that's why I'm confident that we are going to get a pretty powerful end to her story one way or the other.
Yeah, I feel death. What do you feel?
I feel death. Like, I do think that there is a chance that she gets imprisoned. And so it's like, I would say I'm 70% death, 30% that. But I just think that they're not going to give her a happy ending. There's no way that she ends this show in a spot where she can be happy based on all of the teases and just also our own sentiments where we will all be cursing this show into the heavens if Serena just gets out of this okay.
Yeah, there's only two things that I really want to see out of the show, and none of them actually involve June. I just want to see Janine with her daughter out in Alaska or anywhere safe. I have to see that. If I don't see that, the show has failed me.
Yeah.
And I need to see Serena pay.
Yes. So fingers crossed. We'll see exactly what happens from here. But of course, we want to hear from you guys. How do you think Serena's story is going to end on The Handmaid's Tale? Are you clapping for death? Are you cheering on any other outcome? Let us know. Also, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our upcoming coverage of 9 Perfect Strangers, what we're doing now with Poker Face, and support us further by joining our Patreon. That link is in the description. We are covering Criminal Minds, Evolution, in the midst of some big stuff with that show alongside Murderbot. Thank you so much for your support. We'll see you here next time.